Very good morning and welcome to NBL Now on a very special day, because by the end of tonight, one of the Sydney Kings or Adelaide 36ers seasons will be officially done. We've got that to talk about. We've got all the fallout from Perth and Southeast Melbourne and a little bit of coaching discussion to come your way this morning as well. I'm Jack Heverin. Derek Rucker is, well, I actually don't know where you are, Derek. I've given up trying to understand where you are. Your travel chart is like a Chris Golding shot chart. There's just green ticks everywhere. Where are you?
I'm in Brisbane and about to board a flight to Sydney for the big play-in game. It's an eliminator.
Let's go there to start with. From a Sydney Kings perspective, it's been a challenging 48 hours. There's no question about that. The news of Xavier Cooks has come through, and we have no new information on that at this stage. What I'm interested in first and foremost, though, from you, Ruck, is what effect this may have on the playing group leading into tonight.
Yeah, it's always hard to gauge the emotional impact that something like this will have on a team. But knowing Brian Gordon so well, I think that he is going to be able to consolidate that group. I think they'll have a really high level of focus going into the game. And Jack, if we know anything, we know that the NBL is extremely unpredictable. And it's games exactly like this where you think you know the outcome, where we get all types of surprises and twists.
But what is that like, though, when you are going into a big game and you know that you don't have your best player? You look around in the locker room and everyone's getting changed and your best guy is not there.
Well, I think you can have two approaches. You can feel sorry for yourself and call it a wrap and start making vacation plans or plans for your next playing destination. Or you can rally around because we don't know what the future holds. So you may as well go out there and give it your best. Try and give yourself a chance early in this game to get the crowd engaged. There will be some level of sympathy for the Kings, I feel. So they need to rally upon that. And if they can come out from the start, defend well, anything is possible. You knock down some threes, and then we got a game. We have seen the Cairns Taipans pull off two great victories late in this season when no one gave them a realistic possibility of winning either of those games.
So then the other question is around their size, or now, Derek, it's their lack of size. And this has been one of your key points with Sydney all season long. No Kelly LePepe, still out injured with a hamstring. Now no Xavier Cooks. It puts a lot of pressure on Cameron Oliver, and it may even force Brian Gordon to call Jason Spurgeon's name again.
And that's a tough situation to put the young man Jason Spurgeon into it, but this is pro sports, and you never know when your number is going to be called. And tonight he is going to have to play against the size of that Adelaide front line. He is going to be required. And it's also going to be required that Cam Oliver show extreme foul discipline. We saw him get in foul trouble in the last home game. That absolutely cannot happen tonight. He's going to have to be able to defend. He's going to have to be stout. He's going to have to rebound the basketball and provide offensive punch all over the court for the Kings. It is a tough assignment for probably, Jack, one of the smallest teams we've ever seen in the postseason. They were a small team coming into NBL 25 and now losing, one of their key bigs. They've gone really, really diminutive.
Meanwhile, on the other hand, for the Adelaide 36ers, Derek, it feels like nothing but positivity coming into tonight. Kendrick Davis comes runner-up in the MVP. Montrezl Harrell says that he wants to come back next year. Jarrell Martin's back from a calf injury as well. If you were just taking vibes only as a sense check going into tonight, the Adelaide vibes seem really good.
Well, we could feel it at the awards dinner the other night. They were upbeat. They were socializing, and I think there was a level of confidence that kind of belied the fact that they're coming into this game with a 3-game losing streak, Jack. But it all suits the Adelaide personality because they're just a very strange group of characters, but we love them. And I think there is some fear, given the context now, from other teams around the league that if they are to advance tonight, that little bit of confidence they have can manifest into a larger problem for the rest of the team. Because as you said, with everybody available to head coach Mike Wells, this is a team within a 4 to 6 week period that can put together some outstanding basketball play and give them a real chance of advancing deep. And by deep, I mean championship series deep.
You think they could get to the championship series?
100% I do.
Wow. Okay. Well, the Phoenix will be watching on to see what happens here. The other news out of that, from an Adelaide perspective in the last 24 hours, is around Jason Cadee. Now, you haven't had a chance to talk about this. I know he's someone that you think really, really highly of. I do as well. You've had a bit more to do with him than I have. But if you were picking a team of stand-up guys, an all-NBL stand-up team, Jason Cadee would be in that team every day of the week.
Look, obviously Jason Cadee is someone that, is going to hit me emotionally when he announces his retirement. I haven't even reached out to him yet because I'm still trying to process it. There's some sense of my own mortality also involved in this, as I've known Jason Cadee since he was 6-7 years old. He used to rebound for me and John Riley when we were playing at West Sydney. I've had a close association with the Cadee family for 3 decades. They're outstanding people. And Jason is just one of the finest role models that we've ever had in the NBL. He's an outstanding player, a guy that's never complained or been a bad teammate, someone who's always just gotten on with the job. And I'm happy that he's been able to have this lengthy of a career, a very successful career. He's got a wonderful family. He's just done all the right things. But also it's sad because we hate to see guys leave their playing part of the career. Now, look, he's going to be in the NBL for a very long time. He's such a talented and intelligent person, and he's an NBL lifer. So congratulations to Jason. And, it's not the end of it.
15 seasons, 422 games, and he will still have a role to play in this play-in series, Derek. No question about that. You go back to Adelaide and Southeast Melbourne a couple of weeks ago when the 36ers made that run in the third quarter. It was Jason Cadee on that day, and he's the calm in amongst the chaos that is this team.
And he still has the ability to put the ball in the basket. We saw him put together some 3-pointers in that third quarter to help Adelaide get back into that basketball game. But most importantly, right now, I think it's his leadership, his sensibility with the basketball, and his ability to distribute the ball and be a threat out on the floor that I think causes opponents trouble when he's getting quality minutes.
Let's talk the Perth Wildcats here, because this has been a recurring theme of you and I discussing Perth all season long. Is, yes, they can score, but can they defend? Now, they let through 67 in the first half on Tuesday night against Southeast Melbourne, but then went ahead and had 34 in the third quarter and took care of the result. So they win 122 to 105. Is this sustainable? The same question we've been asking all season long, can they keep doing this?
Jack, you're playing with fire, because as the playoffs go on, you cannot realistically expect that type of offensive production. And look, Keanu Pender was great. He was fantastic. 35 points. He played fantastic. And we know he's capable of that. But Perth at some point will have to defend on the road. And I don't love that style of play, although maybe they feel like it's enough to get them deep into the playoff. I don't know. But Jack, one of the other issues is, where was the Red Army?
Yeah, there's been a lot of excuses since then, hasn't there? Tuesday night, venue less than ideal.
Jack, it's the Red Army. They show up for everything. And that was disappointing.
Yeah, well, considering the outrage, I guess, about RAC Arena when the news first broke, and I thought it was going to be like an episode of Squid Games where Perth fans would be out the front of the High Performance Centre fighting each other for a ticket to the game. It didn't matter.
Well, they get off the hook because the team looked after themselves, and now we can return to the status quo after the FIBA break. But Red Army, you got to show up no matter what. Those players deserved your support, irrespective of what was going on around the ticketing situation the change of venue. I thought that was poor from the Red Army.
Well, all roads should lead to, and we'll know by the end of the weekend, obviously, but we now know that it's Melbourne versus Perth, and we know that Melbourne will have home court advantage. So game 2 of that semi-final series, there's not an excuse available or possible for that to not be a sellout, surely.
And don't get mad at me, Red Army. I love you guys. You're one of the great fan bases in basketball anywhere in the world. But come on, don't let your team down.
What would Josh King want to sharpen up on for Sunday, regardless of their opponent?
You know what it is? It's the defense. That was unacceptable. Unacceptable for a team that had made such strides since his arrival to allow 122. No, Jack. No. In a postseason game, highly, highly unacceptable. And also, I mentioned the other night at the awards dinner that Southeast Melbourne now are in this habit where they're like a greyhound. They're really good over 400 meters. But, Jack, the race is over 500 meters. They keep falling apart down the stretch. That fourth quarter, that second half the other night was concerning. And those are, I think, the 2 key issues that Josh King will be focusing on in the lead up to Sunday's elimination game.
They got absolutely destroyed on the glass, didn't they? 58 rebounds to 34, which resulted in a lot of second chance points for the Perth Wildcats. It's, we've come to know Josh King now, Derek, is this coach where the little things are the big things. There have been a lot of little things out of Tuesday night that he wouldn't have liked.
And also, we're hearing about the referees and this and that. Of course, you're not going to get the whistle in your favor. You're playing in Perth. What do you expect? Don't go in there with unrealistic expectations. What, you're going to play in Perth and you thought you were going to shoot more free throws or come out with the referees at bat? No, it's never been like that. It never will be like that. And that's just part of the NBL.
Angus Glover was one of the big positives, though, for Southeast Melbourne. He was letting it fly on Tuesday night, which is fantastic. Just one before we finish off, Derek, away from the play-in series, which is obviously attracting all of our attention right now. I listened to Adam Forde on this show yesterday with Pete Hooley. It was a fantastic episode. For those who really love the breakdown of a game, Forde's analysis of Perth and Southeast Melbourne was spot on, and hopefully we can hear from him before the end of this season as well. Talking about Cairns and talking about some reflections, do you think he's there next year?
I don't think he's there. And, I've said since he's been in Cairns that it was a great match. Well, all things must come to an end. And I think now, more so for Adam Forde and his career growth, it's time for him to seek another venture, another partnership. They've both been good for each other, but I think now it's time to go. And it will also provide another opportunity for a coach to show what he can do. Now that Forde, look, they haven't made any great playoff run, but that organization's in a solid place. They've shown the ability to get good young talent there. There are enough pieces there. They got a great fan base. I think this would be an amicable split, but one that's probably necessary right now.
My only question to that, though, and I agree with everything you've said, is that they've shown the ability to get talented youngsters, but a lot of that is driven by Adam Forde, is it not?
And that is 100% true, but now the franchise has to pick up on that, learn from what Adam Forde was able to do, how he did that, and then make that a part of your franchise going forward.
Good gig for a first-time coach, isn't it? Like, there'll be some guys around the league right now who have been assistant coaches who will be, I'd imagine, to be starting to get their presentations together potentially if the news comes through that Adam Forde and Cairns are no longer, because it does feel like a great job for a first-time coach.
It is, and you've got a nice playing environment, and I think, again, you can build something around young players. You get your imports right. And they haven't had a lot of success lately. So I think it's a good place to slot in, develop yourself as a head coach. And, if you get double-figure win, you've done an outstanding job.
We have to let you go. I can just sort of see that you need to get your bags and get to the airport because every day is a new adventure in the life of Derek Rucker. But we'll see you in Sydney tonight for the Kings and the 36. It's going to be a fascinating game.
Super excited for it.
Have a great day. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Don't forget tonight, of course, It is all on the line for Sydney and Adelaide, and you can check out all the latest news at nbl.com.au.